Welcome back to another episode of Ducks on the Pond, and we got a nice deep dive where we're going to take a little peek into our rankings, and we're going to talk with a coaching staff member of the number one team ranked in the state of Minnesota in Cretin Derham Hall. We have Toby Anderson alongside here, a pitching coach over at Cretin, and as always, my guy here, Parker Hageman. Let's start with you. How are we doing, Parker?
Oh, we're doing good, man. It's feeling a little bit like summer over here in Minnesota. Finally, we could tell Rob that the water's warm and getting the lakes around here, and baseball season full swing. It's been great with the ranking side of things. I think Juddy, you'll test this. I think the feedback that we've gotten has been pretty good. I think looking at these 10 teams plus the bubble teams has been really good for us.
Yeah, I think it's been a great thing to kind of shine some more light on programs. Obviously, we do, the individual class rankings, but now that we're, shining some light on programs and what the programs can do with those players inside the program and shine some more light on that, like I said. But Coach, how are we doing? How are things? We're hopefully, cross our fingers, we're out of the snow. Now we just have to worry about rain, but how you doing? How are things?
They're going good. Thanks for having me here. And season's been going well. Obviously, with the weather, the way things started, we're in that beautiful time of the season where the 3 games a week that you're scheduled is actually 4 or 5. Coming up on seniors graduating, all that stuff. So we're right in the thick of it with sections starting next week. But now it's been a good spring. We've gotten all the games in. It's just been busy the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, let's dig into it a little bit more. Cretin Derham Hall. We're 14-2. We're atop of the Suburban East Conference. Arguably, by some, could be the toughest conference across the state. Let's just talk about your team. Talk about the expectations leading into the season and where that talk started and to where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, record speaks for itself. The boys have been playing really well, and that did start almost at the end of last season. We have the senior class that we have this year. We have 10 seniors. We've been young the last couple of years, and now it's their time to kind of step into the spotlight. And they haven't taken that opportunity lightly. So throughout the winter, even in the early spring when they were doing captains practices, there's just been a different level of focus with those guys. And, I think the overarching theme of it is they want to be the group that gets Cretin Derham back to where they've been. Because it's been a long drought since we've been back in the state tournament since 2007. And, it's just the boys want to be that group and they can see it. And, the more we win, the more alumni are coming out of the weeds and just, there's so much pride for this program and now kind of starting to have it back. The boys are starting to see it. And it's been fun going all the way back to Kansas City when we went on that spring break trip. Got outside, got the boys just together, doing a bunch of team stuff, and it's been good so far.
From afar, we're watching the MN Bomb Squad, and we get to see Jake Quinn, PJ Jones showing up all the time. It seems that you guys have a pretty powerful offense. Would you consider that one of the biggest strengths of the program right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that, going into the season, we knew what our lineup was going to be, and it's been exactly what we were expecting, and it's even been a little bit better because we've had some of our quote-unquote, role players who aren't those big, Jake Quinns, PJ Jones type hitters that have really produced more than we could have ever imagined, and their confidence is starting to grow now too. So we truly do trust the 9 people we have in the lineup, and there's even guys who aren't getting at bats right now that probably should, but everybody's kind of knows their role and they're buying into it. But yeah, offense we knew going in was going to be our strength, and pitching's been the nice surprise of the season.
I saw a piece with one of the news stations come out and talk and did some interviews with some of the guys, and one of the things that Jack Taxtall touched on was the defense. And from being a pitching guy yourself, obviously, it's nice having a really nice offense. But what can you say about your defense and what they're able to do behind the arms on the mound And I believe Coach Hallahan followed it up and said he completely agreed with what Jack said and what they've been able to do. Talk a little bit more from the pitching defense side and what you guys are able to do there.
Yeah, defense has been outstanding this year. I mean, it's been a couple years since we've had a, true middle infield per se, where we have our two guys and those are our two guys. And it's been awesome this year with Colin Scanlon and Trey Gannett's kind of heading up the middle. And then our outfield is probably our biggest strength. We got 5 guys who can go out there and chase anything down in the gap. They're all offensive threats. But yeah, it's been a big comment section for people who come and watch our games that our outfield is pretty fun to watch. And, when a ball goes up in the gap, it's a good feeling as a pitcher to give up a barrel and know that you still have a chance to get an out.
With that left field hill, you got to have a pretty good defender out there who knows how to play it.
Yes, yes, or someone who recovers quickly.
So Jody and I know this, like, when you guys are in your spring or before the season, you're thinking about your team, you're thinking about the things that, the guys that are coming in, the elements of the team that are going to be good. But every so often there's like a surprise. There's a surprise player or some aspect of the game that you're better at that you didn't think so in the off season. Is there something like that for your team?
Yeah. Well, I have an individual and just an overarching theme. I mean, we the biggest question mark going into this year was going to be pitching. We lost almost 80% of the innings on the mound that we had last season. So going into it, we knew we were going to score runs, and we just didn't know if we were going to have to win games 12-10. Or if the pitching, who was going to establish themselves. And it's been awesome. We've had some guys really settle into their roles. Justin Benjamin Jr. is leading the team in innings right now. Trey Gannett, everybody who gets up there competes, and they've bought into the process of it's okay to throw it in the middle of the zone and let your defense do their work too. So again, touching on that defensive point, it's good having guys out there that you feel comfortable throwing in the middle of the zone. And then on the individual surprise of things, I mean, we have our third baseman, David Verdeja, who, at the beginning of the season almost had to be talked into playing from our head coach, Buzz Hanahan. And, as of last week, he's leading our team in batting average. I mean, he's just a guy who will do all the little things right. We'll get a bunt down if you need it. And just, hits line drives. He knows he's not going to hit it over the fence. But, he does more than enough to help the team every time he gets up to the plate.
Let's talk about Coach here for a second, and obviously taking over the program. He's been a part of it the past few years, and then brothers helping out Coach too and stuff. So, what's that like having that type of experience, with their playing careers in the dugout, and how does that carry over to what they're able to share with the players?
Yeah, well, on the brother side of thing, it's more entertainment than anything. It's funny to see those two. I mean, they got stories for days, and they can go.
Sure.
I mean, they go all the way back to their association days back when they were kids, and they're St. Paul kids through and through. And I think that's what's unique about Cretin Derham Hall too, is these alumni. They graduate through it, and it's amazing how many of them come back and just really take pride in the school and the city and stuff like that. So. Me, honestly, even all the way through JV, B squad freshman, I'm one of 2 coaches who didn't graduate from the high school. So it just goes to show the alumni presence, and having Buzz and Jack there with their experience, not only coaching but playing, has been outstanding for the kids because they get a different perspective of, Jack, for example, who played 10 years in the big leagues. He has a different perspective on things for a high school athlete who's a highly touted kid who's really, really good, and everyone thinks he's outstanding. Jack kind of has that leveling factor of there's still a lot of work to do, and the kids buy into that, and they really listen, because how could you not?
So I mean, you guys tag culture in a lot of your tweets. What would you say? How would you define your culture? I mean, you kind of touched on some of the elements there. But what would you say between this season, of course, you guys are looking pretty strong, but then to bridge it for the next few years for the younger guys?
Yeah, I think the big theme that we're trying to have is we have our 10 commandments for our program. And, one of the first ones is dare to be great. And it's one of those things that we preach with the kids on, especially with high school baseball with a 2-month season. You don't have time to do the whole waves up and down and stuff like that. Like, it's any given day, whoever wants to show up and win is most often the team who wins. It's a momentum game, but that's been our big thing, is pushing these kids to, myself, Buzz, Jack, Winky. We can't go out there and win the game for you. Like, you guys have to want it. So go out there and take matters into your own hand. We can put up the guidelines on how we think you can be successful, but at the end of the day, it's their season, so they're the ones who have to run with it.
Let's look into the schedule here, and the Suburban East, and they have past champion, last year's champion in Stillwater, and a few years back you have East Ridge, and you've seen Mounds View, and make state tournament appearances. Do you guys, from a pitching coach standpoint, do you match your starters out to that, or you just say, hey, like, we try and keep them on a simple rotation of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you match up against certain teams? And then, what is it like playing that sort of schedule? And then, your section's not any easier. So,
Right.
What is that like? And then obviously the record that you have and everything that goes with it, just having that day in and day out in your conference.
Yeah, well, again, with the spring season now having 4 to 5 games a week, just trying to get everything in before playoffs, it makes the rotation a little tougher. We do have our quote unquote starters and relievers. That being said, we'll do the matchups a little bit. It's a little different with Taxdall being one of our main pitchers, and also, arguably the best catcher in the state. We have to be a little more careful with that on, he's either pitching the first day of the week or the last day of the week, so he's not,
Sure.
Sandwiched in between catching 2 games and pitching. So that's one thing that we're conscious of, especially in his specific instance. Other than that, we do play the matchups, see, what pitchers are going to have the most success, and that goes more performance-based, yes, but also like attitude-wise, like who's going to be able to handle the Stillwaters and the Mounds Views and those guys, because it's a different feeling playing those guys simply just with the energy that they produce. You gotta have guys who are ready to go.
Do you think, and this is some conversation I've had with coaches around the Metro, that there seems to be a different brand of baseball being played on the east side, a grittier, maybe even more small ball-ish type thing? I mean, obviously you got power arms and power bats, but from your end, do you find that there's a lot of small ball being played against you?
A little bit. Again, Taxdall being our catcher, that helps. It eliminates a lot of stuff that teams try to do, and that's just credit to him and the work that he's put in, and the essentially the reputation he has. We have a little bit of it. I can't speak much to East and West because I don't have a lot of experience with who's on the West and any of those teams, but there's a fair amount of it. I wouldn't say it's like overly small ball. The game, it's not that different. But yeah, there's been a little bit.
Looking forward, we got, like you said, you touched on a few times. We're winding down to the end of the year here. Looking forward into it. Is there certain parts of practice that you guys are, harping on a little bit more, or focusing a little more attention on to get ready for the playoffs? Or is it, hey, we just play our game, we go out, we swing the sticks, we throw strikes, play defense, and just an overall, kind of sense of what you're doing? Or is it more, hey, we got to fine tune this, fine tune that, and then let's play our best ball towards the end of the year here?
Yeah. A lot of it is honestly just keeping the kids feeling good, staying healthy, taking care of your body. Go do a 30-minute, lift where you just get the blood pumping, just get stuff moving. So a lot of it right now is just body management and keeping the boys healthy, feeling good. The other part, it's just heavy review time and keeping the boys with heavy reps, doing their daily work, taking BP on the field, getting live reads. That's essentially what it is right now. Is we have that time where we can review things, do that at the very beginning, make sure their bodies are feeling good, and then just keep the kids staying in a consistent rhythm with batting practice and getting live reads off the bat.
So, Juddy, you got to check my math on this. We've got 5 rankings we put out, correct? 5 weeks worth. Cretin has been number 1 for 4. Toby, as a coach, do you sense that the kid, is that a good thing or a bad thing to be ranked number 1 and have the kids see that all the time?
Can go both ways. In our 2 losses, I think it played a factor with the boys, not necessarily showing up and having the ultimate focus. But again, that's that's high school kids in a 2-month season. Like there's going to be days they had, whatever's going on with their high school too. But um, I think it's a good thing. I think that it puts a target on our back, and I think the kids know that, and that's what's fueling them. But I also think that's group by group. I think there's certain classes and certain leadership groups that, if you don't have the captains or the senior presidents to keep everybody in line, it can definitely be something that gets in the way. Luckily, with our junior and senior class this year, everybody's pretty much stayed head down and just playing their game.
Do you think that the players on the team understand the tradition there? Do you think they, like Joe Mowers, and I heard Paul Molitor spoke to you guys before the Target Field game. Like, do you think they understand that? I mean, they see the Byron Buxtons and the Carlos Correas, and the Minnesota Twins, but, like a lot of them, I shouldn't say that. Well, a lot of them might not have seen Joe Mauer in his heyday, or,
Yeah.
they might have been younger and maybe saw the tail end of it. But do you guys focus on that, or do they understand that, or is that talked about at practice or wherever?
Yeah, I mean that was a big emphasis for us going into the year, is getting them to understand that. And that's been one of the biggest benefits of having Buzz and Jack and Derek Winky on staff, is guys who have been through it and done it, and they were there in the baseball heyday, say it, with the Dennis Denning and Jim O'Neill and those guys, where
Sure.
they just went on runs, crazy runs. I think that's something that we wanted the kids to truly understand, that it's not, hey, it's just a cool field with a hill and left.
Mm-hmm.
It's, we brought in a speaker earlier in the year who used to teach there, Tom Cody, and was outstanding about just like, he says, he still rides his bike through there in the spring and summer, and he's like, on a morning, he goes, he almost gets choked up because it's just such a special place and so many great players have played there. So getting the sense of the tradition, and now, the more we win, the more alumni are coming out to watch us and different things like that. The kids are starting to truly see what it's about, and it's been awesome having them embrace that, understanding that they could potentially be a part of Cretin Derham Hall baseball history, which is a really, really prestigious one.
Has number 7 came to a game?
I think one. I don't know for sure though. I haven't seen him personally, but
He put on the sunglasses and the big
he
nose.
will be if we get to that state tournament.
Right. But
no, Paul Molitor came out, talked to us before the Target Field game. A lot of guys have come through, and it's been awesome to see the support. Even, we had the 50th state championship reunion at that Target Field game, so that was part of Paul Molitor's class, with Jim O'Neill as a player, and they even had their coach there, so they got custom hats, and overall it's just a cool event, and it's cool for those kids to see. I mean, there were 14 of them that came back, almost, a lot of them from out of state, so they flew back home just for that event because it meant so much to them. So having the kids see that and the tradition and really buying into what this program is has been fun to watch.
Yeah, Jack Hanahan hit a home run off me that still hasn't landed in high school. It was a force. One question for you, because I always have to ask a food question at some point during these podcasts. Do the coaches go over to the Nook after the games and practices? Do you guys go get burgers and chat about things there?
Yeah, I average about 2 times a week during the season.
Do you have a special burger that you like to get? Anything like that?
Oh, I don't want to pump their tires too much, but I get the Pepper Jack Hanahan, which is obviously a burger named after Jack. So no, it's a good spot, and when the wind is blowing in the right direction, it's hard not to go there after the game because you just get the whiff of everything there. So yeah, we visit there quite frequently.
Nice.
Last question for me: what's been the most fun for you as a coach, and what do you think has been the most fun, like from the players or from a team overall? Like, what are you enjoying the most about this squad?
Yeah, I just really enjoy seeing this senior class from what we've been the last couple of years, where we've really had to scratch and claw, and it's been tough some years, most years, the years that I've been there. But just seeing them fully embrace it and take it on their own. I mean, they really bought into it's their team. They're the ones running it. And so that makes a coach's life really easy when you have leadership like that, where you can help them with the mental side of things. You can put the lineup together, you can set the pitching rotation, but at the end of the day, they're the ones out there doing it, and they know that. It makes a coach's life really easy. And then just on a team side of things, just the team dynamic as a whole. Everyone gets along. They're always going out to lunch or dinner together. They're doing a ton of stuff together. It's just cool to see the guys really buy into what the team is. And even the ones who are more in a role player situation, they're there at everything. They're never late. They do whatever we asked. I mean, it's been a really, really good dynamic. And I think, moving forward down the stretch here, we're going to be tested, obviously, but I think we're in a good spot, especially with our leadership, to keep a level head, keep the nose down, and just do what we've been doing all spring.
That's it for me. Parker, you got anything?
No, I appreciate your time, Toby.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, Coach, good luck. Obviously, we'll be following, and best of luck moving forward through the rest of the season and through sections, and hopefully we'll see the CDH in the state tournament, and best of luck. So appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us for a little bit here, and like I said, we'll continue to follow.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.